It's Everton against West Ham United on Sunday at 4 o'clock, and this is Talk a Good Game as we're going to preview just that match. Before we get into it, if you download the One Football app, the link is in the description, and keep up to date with all the latest team news ahead of the game and get the fixtures, the lineups direct to your phone at 3 p.m. on Sunday. I'll tell you when they're out. Swipe it, free, you'll see the team lineup just like that. And it's important this weekend because Everton have a lot of team news to get through, and we're going to dive into that one. As the team with no points head up to the team with no defeats. Gonzo, what's your thoughts on the Blues?
I think it was a good managerial appointment for him. It was somebody that I fancied. It looked, when he went in at Hull, he reinvigorated him, but they went down. So I thought his reputation was damaged. When he went to Watford, and then I thought he was doing a really good job, but then his head got turned, ironically enough, by the Everton job. And then his form dipped and he got sacked anyway. And this was quite funny because that was Watford, who don't have an awful lot of loyalty to their managers anyway. So I rate the manager, and he's got in there and he has done very, very well indeed. He's obviously bought Richarlison for big money, but he's suspended, I think, for this one. I think he might have scored some goals for Brazil. I've not seen him. They were talking on the radio that he scored some stunning goals for Brazil or something. He's come in and done well. He's also some of the players that were there anyway that maybe were discarded a little bit. They paid big money for Sigurdsson, but he's got him playing and involved. And even got a tune out of Allardyce's signing, Theo Walcott, who's looked to be playing to his strengths, which is, he's got good finishing and he's pacey and drifts in wide, well from wide positions. I think Seamus Coleman's been involved. So they seem to have merged the old Everton with a sort of new version, and they've made loads of signings, spent loads of money. So I think they're in a healthy position, bar the injuries.
Tom, the Toffees went through a sticky patch last season with Koeman not working, then they had Allardyce, now they've got Marco Silva. What's your thoughts on the Everton side?
Yeah, it's a really good team. I think obviously a lot of question marks were probably put on the money that they spent on some of their signings. They were quiet most of the transfer window right until the last sort of week, and then they went and splashed the cash. I guess thankfully for us this weekend, a lot of those guys I won't feature because they're either injured or suspended. So, they've got a fantastic manager who, by all accounts is, the next sort of Portuguese Mourinho, if you will. His home record is impeccable wherever he's been for whichever side he's managed. So, the way that they'll probably line up on Sunday, they'll be a tough outfit to beat, especially at home, no matter what the injuries they have. They're a class side, Everton. So I think it's going to be a fantastic game on Sunday.
Tom, what's a good season for Everton then? Would you consider that they are sort of in the mix alongside the likes of us, Wolves and Leicester, occupying the 7 to 10 spaces in the league, ideally? Yeah,
I think probably for Everton, a good season is finishing 7th. It's either just outside the top 6, especially I think, with the likes of, ourselves maybe and Wolves, you could say that because of the money that they've spent, that they should be aiming for that kind of place. And they've not just spent big money, but they've spent a lot of wages on someone like Bernard, potentially over 175 grand a week or whatever. So yeah, I think that they've been ready to almost take that next step for quite some time, and they've finally got that back in from Mashiri. So they got the right managerial appointment. So I think for them it has to be 7th. I think anything less than that or lower table would probably be seen as a bad season for them.
Gonzo, let's ignore injuries and suspensions. You're right, Richarlison is suspended, Walcott's a doubt. Bernard may be making his first start for Everton against us, who we are heavily linked with in the summer. But Gonzo, let's forget this. Pretend to have a fully fit squad. What players do you admire the most at Everton, or do you fear the most?
Well, I don't know if they're getting on a bit, but they're fullbacks. So Seamus Coleman and Leighton Baines, they're very good. They're very, very good players. Good proven Premier League players who have got a little bit more to them than just obviously being fullbacks. Of course, the striker came in, didn't he? So Allardyce brought the striker in from Turkey. And I looked at him, I saw him a couple of times when he came in, didn't think he was any good, sort of ignored Everton for a while and then looked back and he had actually scored some goals between now until the end of the season. So I guess he is a dangerous player. But I do look at the big ones that actually I did mention, which are Sigurdsson, Walcott as well. I've always rated Walcott as a player. Whenever we were linked with him, I always thought actually I would quite like that to happen. And of course, Richarlison, if we're pretending he's still involved, they're big players for them, and they do have a striker. Which I think when they lost Lukaku, that initially that was the big thing. They didn't replace Lukaku with a striker, and I think Everton's problem was, so when they had Barkley there, if you remember, they had Rooney as well. They bought Sigurdsson. They had a lot of number 10s, they had a lot of playmakers, let's say, and no real striker. And I think they just struggled to score goals. I don't think that's the case anymore.
Yeah, I like Everton. I actually like Everton as a football club. I don't begrudge them any sort of victories or anything like that. They've got nothing against them. If the West Ham don't go on and win the FA Cup, Everton's the type of club I'd like to see go on and lift the FA Cup. I think they're a traditional club, fantastic fan base as well. I fear them a lot. I think they are good enough to finish 7th in the league this year. Walcott on one side, Sigurdsson, Marco Silva's tried to move Sigurdsson into the middle and put Richarlison out on the left. Absolute genius. I would say it's a genius move. It's an obvious move to do, but it's taken Marco Silva to do it, and it's getting the best out of all three of them as well. I think what they've got a fantastic team. They're injecting a little bit of youth in their side now with their signings. They're going for the younger ones. They're already looking at replacing the likes of Leighton Baines, etc. And I think they're going to reap the rewards for that in years to come. They've got one of the younger keepers in the league that are starting week in, week out. They are going to have a squad. They have spent lots of money. Anyone that watches this channel will know that I really like Richarlison. Is he worth 40, 50 million paid today? No, I don't think he is. In a year's time, if he has a good season, he will be. And I think that's what they've done. They've invested in potential. And I think they're the club, and they've got the manager now to unlock that potential and make those players worth what they've Everton paid, and then some more. But Tom, they have got loads of injuries. I like my stats, but you can manipulate stats here, Tom. I can say to you they're unbeaten this season. They played 4 games, they're unbeaten. But I can also say to you, Tom, they've played 4 games and they've only won 1 game. So you can come at it from either way. Loads of injuries. Is this the best opponent for West Ham to play this weekend, Tom?
Well, I would say so. Yeah, it probably is. The best version of an Everton side to play this weekend is probably what I'd say. So, you know, they haven't got off to a flying start. They're short of a good few key players. You know, this is the perfect kind of bounce back game. You know, straight after the international break to get some points on the ball, because we've got a tough run of games coming up as well. So, a win like this on the road at Everton, even though if it's a bad Everton squad, it would do wonders for us. So. I think, like we said, this is probably the perfect time to play Everton. And that's not to say that it's going to be a walkover, because they've got some good players. They've got some good young players, some players that can play in backup positions. I really like the look of that Ademola Lookman. I think he looks quality for how young, and his pace and his finishing ability. So, they're going to be dangerous. But I think if there's any team that probably is struggling at the minute with injuries and suspensions and stuff, especially in the heart of defence, because they've got no Mina. Keener, has fractured his skull. Jagielka is suspended, but it was also injured apparently. As Seamus Coleman fractured his foot on international duty last week. So the good thing for us, I would say, is if we're attacking enough and we're pressing, that back four may not have played a lot of minutes with each other. So Ashley Williams is gone as well. So it might be that it's the perfect time to play Everton. Yeah.
Before we move on to West Ham, if you want to hear more about Everton from Everton fans, at the very end of the video, we one video tonight. Then eventually, it depends when you're watching this, there might be 2 videos for you to click on. Go over and listen to Everton fans. It's a good insight into their club. And I'll tell you what, they're not as confident as I expected them to be. It's also good to hear their views on West Ham as well, particularly surrounding the managerial situation that we're in, which they went through a year ago as well. But Gonzo, our centre-backs in the last game against Wolves, Balbuena and Diop, when we did our review, this was our only positive. Fabianski as well, but this was the main positive, the performance of these two. Is this a centre-back partnership Pellegrini has to stick with now and just see it through and let them learn with each other? Because we've had 4 Premier League games, 3 different centre-back partnerships. Is this the one Pellegrini must stick with?
I totally agree, and I'd give them the next 3 or 4 games, give him until Brighton at least. There's been a lot of chopping and change, and I understand why he's chopped and changed. I expect him to chop and change again, but not in that area. As you say, keep them solid. They've got a lot of promise. They've got ability between them. They complement each other in their styles. And if he is going to play the 2, I think many of us would prefer him to play a 3. But his history suggests he's only going to play 2 at the back. If that's the case, stick with those 2 guys.
Just quick answers on this one. Tom, you have 2 fullbacks for the game. Who would you be going for? Just give us the names you'd fire at us, because we know your reasoning for them.
Fredericks and Masuaku.
Do you agree with that, Gonzo?
If you don't play Masuaku in central midfield, yeah.
Oh, Christ. Well, I'd be going for Creswell and Fredericks. Well, I'm going to come on to Gonzo's Masuaku midfield in a second. But, Tom, is this the game that Pellegrini, we've seen 4-2-3-1, if you like, in the last couple of games. Does he need to go back to 4-3-3, tighten that midfield up, or do you think he should stick with his 4-2-3-1 and take the game to Everton?
I would have been If this was a full strength Everton side, I think 4-3-3 I would have tightened up. But I just think that Everton back four potentially could be susceptible on the break. And I think having maybe that extra midfielder push further up the pitch, maybe Wilshere, maybe Anderson if he's through the middle with Yarmolenko or whatever. So I think having that extra man going forward would benefit us at the weekend. I think Idrissa Gueye might be injured as well in the centre midfield, and I think if you have him playing in the centre midfield, then I think you do need the three midfielders because he's a mini little Kante. He's fantastic at his role and what he does. So no, for me, I would opt for the extra attacking player in this game.
And your two in your centre midfield then, Tom, which two would you go for? We've seen Sanchez and Wilshere in the last couple of games. Sanchez, to me, is impressed. I know he made that mistake at the end of the Wolves game, but he's impressed for me. But what would your pairing be? Martin, just for the viewers, Martin Noble's back. So you've got Noble, Sanchez, Rice, Wilshere, Obiang to choose from.
I'm going to throw a curveball, and I'm going to say I think we lacked Martin Noble the last couple of games. I think he just, if there's anybody that understands the grip, of when the going gets tough, it's Martin Noble that shines the most almost. So I'm going to say Martin Noble and Sanchez for this game. I think Sanchez has been a revelation. Other than his daft mistake at the end of the Wolves game, I think he's been brilliant at what he's done. That might be to say that Wilshere plays a little bit further forward or not at all, because I think, I've been really disappointed with what he's brung. We all sung his praises before he signed, but he hasn't yet delivered, maybe to the level or expectations that we had of him. So I'd be half tempted for this game to be putting Noble and Sanchez together and see how they do.
Gonzo, what would you be doing in the middle of the park then?
Yeah, that'd do me, mate. That'd do me.
So you would be going Sanchez and Noble as well?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'd be going for three centre midfielders. I think we've lost the battle in midfield, especially against Wolves. I think Wolves dominated us. I think Moutinho and Neves showed our midfield two up. I think Sanchez has been brilliant. I'd keep him in. I'd have Noble in there, and I'd have Wilshere in there as well. I am not ready to give up on the Noble and Wilshere partnership yet. I know it didn't work against Bournemouth, but they didn't have someone behind them, and I think that's key to get the best out of them too. They need someone behind them. You cannot have just those two. I fear that's what Pellegrini is going to do on Sunday, by the way. But I think I would like to see Sanchez in behind those two as well. But you two are playing with three attacking midfielders. Tom's indicated he's going to go with Wilshere, Anderson, and Yarmolenko. But Gonzo, who would your attacking three be? Because you've already name dropped Masuaku.
No. It was. I was being flippant. If we do what you do though, then Gio, I'm talking to here. We end up with Anderson on the left, which I think is the important reason. That's why I would play the two that I mentioned, because actually in central midfield on a tip or a number 10, the tip of a triangle, if you like, I would put Anderson at the tip of the Derry Lee triangle, and I would certainly draft in Yarmolenko to play wide as well. I think you've got to, which leaves you with another wide position, and I would actually play Masuaku in that other wide position, and
yep.
I would.
Continue.
And then obviously Arnie up front.
Yarmolenko's a must start for me for this game. He is one of the first names on the team sheet, not because he's done something, but because the people that he's replacing hasn't done anything. Like, those positions are vacant. He looks good to me. He looks like our best signing this summer in terms of his technical ability. I think he's probably our best footballer that we have signed. I don't care who cost 40 million, who cost 20. It's a 17.5 million pound one that's caught my eye with his technique, his first touch, his control, etc. But the reason I would play him and Anderson is I don't want to see them out wide, though. I want them to be like what Mane and Salah do. Get in the middle of the park and play between the centre-backs and the full-backs. Use that pitch space. Don't stand out on the touchlines like we have been, because the triangle between Arnautovic and the two wingers is massive. It's far too big. Get in the pitch, make it tighter. Goodison Park, I don't know, it seems like a small enough pitch in the Premier League. Get in there and reduce the width of the place. Confuse the Everton defenders. As Tom touched on earlier, they're not going to be used to playing with each other. Holgate's going to be playing centre-back likely. We need to almost bully them to an extent. Get in there, and them three need to be in cohesion for Sunday. Tom, what would you like seen done in the final third of the pitch, or is that what you would like to see done?
Yeah, I think it's much of the same what you two said. I think Yarmolenko has to start. I thought Snodgrass was all right for the last few games, but then I think the Wolves game he got found out quite a bit. I think a lot of them were poor at times. No cohesion at the top of the pitch. So I think, like you said, I think the bully aspect almost. If it is Mason Holgate and whoever else that plays back there, maybe John Joe Kenny or whoever else, I think, Yarmolenko and Anderson bring that physical presence. And I think you have to have Anderson in behind the striker, because I think when he gets caught out wide, he's not lazy at times, but he just doesn't seem to create as much as he did when he was through the middle. So I would have those guys, and then I'd be tempted to play maybe Snodgrass on the left, maybe Masuaku, give him a chance up there. I know I said him for fullback, but I expected, because I was crying out for Cresswell when he for the Wolves game, but then out of nowhere I thought Cresswell was absolutely woeful. He just looked right off the pace compared to what he did during the week against Wimbledon. So maybe try Masuaku further forward. I mean, that might inject a bit of pace, with his crossing ability and everything else. It might be something different that we've not seen this season that might actually work. It might be something that confuses the opponent to see him further forward. So, yeah, maybe Masuaku up as the three with Anderson and Yarmolenko and Arnautovic up top.
One thing I do like about this game, by the way, our referee is Martin Atkinson, my favourite referee in the league by an absolute mile. He allows a physical game. This is a game Arnautovic is going to thrive in. If we can get the ball into Arnautovic, he is allowed to bash into defenders. Martin Atkinson will allow that. Gonzo, what do we do different from this game? It's a simple question with a load of different answers, but we need to get something. It's got to be different to what we did against Wolves, so what's got to be different?
Yeah, we've spoken about tactics and shapes and formations. That doesn't bother me so much. I care little about that. When you get to this situation, all those little minor details, all the bumfluffery around it is all minor. What you've got to do is just look after the bread and butter. And we need to go in there with passion. We need to go in there with heart, all that sort of cliched stuff. And we need to hit them hard. And we need 100% commitment. They've got to run. Apparently the yardage or whatever had been a bit down by how much we'd run. We've got to run harder than them. We've got to put in more effort, be more brutal, put in harder yards, to use a horrible American term. We've got to just go at it hard, much, much harder. Effort, and a bit more effort, and actually a bit of will to win, because apparently there was harsh words spoken on the training ground. But I want to see the manifestation of those harsh words. I want to see, have those harsh words done anything to the players, or are they just happy enough to pick up their paycheck? Let's see a bit of heart. Let's see them fighting for West Ham, because if we don't win this, it's trouble. It's trouble for the next few games.
Yeah. Gonzo, how confident are you though ahead of Sunday? I mean, we've lost 4, so there's only so confident you can be, but there's a lot of different circumstances heading into this fixture, if you like.
Weirdly confident, actually, for some reason. And I don't think I predicted a win this season in any of our previews at all. But I'm weirdly confident. Don't know why. I think because we have to. I think because we have to win. Also, what was interesting, you spoke about we've done a couple of Gio has interviewed a couple of Everton fans. So we got one on this channel. We got one on the forum channel coming up tomorrow, which I've looked, and the young lady on that, the Everton fan, she said something very, very interesting. She said it would be typical Everton if they lost to West Ham, basically lost to a team that have lost all their opening games. And I just thought it's funny. That's how we feel as West Ham fans. If a striker hasn't scored for 20 games, we think, it's typical West Ham. They're bound to score against West Ham. So they are nervous, as you alluded to earlier in the show, Gio. There is a certain nervousness about them. And they are certainly feeling that our luck has got to turn at some point. They know we've got to win it. We know we've got to win it. And for some reason, it's made me slightly more confident.
Tom, what about yourself? Are you confident?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously you spoke to the Everton guys. I mean, I spoke to them earlier on today, and again, the guy, I think Max had said that, they were worried. They think it's the worst time to play West Ham, because he reckons that having the international break to speak to the players and you get the harsh words in when they've got all their injuries, that this is the worst time to play them. I mean, I'm mildly confident, but then again, after what we've seen the past couple of weeks, nothing fills me with that confidence. And I just think when it comes to it, I think that Marco Silva has got, even if it was the backups, from injury basis, I think he's probably got them all singing off the same hymn sheet, So I'm not overly confident, but I'm optimistic that I think we'll do better and we'll at least pick up a point compared to what we've done, previously.
I'm optimistic as well, because Marco Silva's had a blueprint this season. He doesn't have to tear it up, but he's got problems here because he's got a lot of changes to make. But not only that, he will do today probably, but on Tuesday he wouldn't have known what changes he's got to make. Some of his players were doubts. They still are doubts. Walcott is a doubt. He might have an inkling if he's going to play or not. But how are you supposed to prepare for a match on Sunday when half your team are if, buts and maybes? And that's what the situation Marco Silva is in. It's all very well us saying his defence is going to be all to see, But that's what it's going to be, because how are you supposed to train on the training ground with a new back four if you don't know what the back four is going to be? Because your right backs are out, your centre backs are out. They might make it, might not. So what do you do in training? Do you prepare for not playing them and getting them out, and then come Sunday actually they're fit enough, etc.? Marco Silva's plans is a headache compared to Pellegrini's. He's got a fit squad for Sunday. There's no excuses. We've had hardly any players go away on international duty at West Ham. Okay, we're missing Lanzini, Reid, and Carroll, but we have done since day one. Nothing's changed. Pellegrini's got no excuses. I'm with Gonzo on this one. It's all about effort and heart for me a little bit here. You know something? I'd almost rather come away with a point, but to see loads of passion, loads of commitment, and good football than come away with a scrappy Allardyce 1-0 type win, because I would just be a bit more worried. I think, well, we've managed to shithouse that win. Now what we're going to do? But if we can get a win, if we can get even just a point, but we see a completely different West Ham, I'll relax a little bit and I'll say there's loads of positives to take from here. But anyway, it's score prediction time. We're all, for a team that's lost 4, we're not very negative so far. Gonzo, would you like to kick us off?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, we got a horrendous record at Goodison Park. They've got a good fan base. They've got excellent owners. They've got a bloody good manager. They've got lots of good players. So, with that in mind, Everton 0, West Ham 2, Arnautovic and Anderson.
Tasty. Tom, your score prediction, please.
I'm going to go 2-2. I think that although I think we will score, I think that Everton, I still believe that we might be susceptible at times on the break, especially if they've got some of their quicker players. And hopefully, if there's no bum fluffery in this game, then I think that we might pick up our first point of the season.
Idrissa Gueye might be into bum fluffery though, but I'm going to go for 1-1. I just don't think we're confident enough yet to go and get the 2-0 win, if you know what I mean. I think we're lacking that edge, but that will come with results. So I'm going to go for 1-1. If you enjoyed the video, do a like on it. Subscribe if you'd like to hear from Max and Sarah, they'll be on your screen right now. They're both Everton fans. They're both really nice people and fantastic insights. Go have a listen. And we'll be back on Sunday with our review of the game. Thank you.